listening to the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you travel the world at next to no cost through credit card points, miles, benefits, and rewards. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Thanks for joining me for episode 57, Hotel Credit Cards with Marc Konchinsky. We talk about the benefits of hotel credit cards, tips for getting started in the credit card hobby, and many ways to save on travel. Enjoy the conversation. All right. Thank you for joining me today, Marc Konchinsky. Did I get that right?
You did.
All right. And you're here today to talk about your hotel credit card spreadsheet. But first, of course, is the burning question. How did you get started with credit cards, travel, points, and miles?
You kind of learn gaining, I can gain this percentage or that percentage. And then you're kind of, well, if I spend this much put on the card versus paying cash or paying by debit, then I can kind of gain a little bit back, and then have a side benefit here. And then you see another card with our sign-up bonus, and then you kind of think about, well, how does that incorporate my overall strategy, and kind of build from there.
Right. So originally you were just using one or two cards, but over time you realized the benefits of getting multiple cards and getting a lot more back, rather than some people who chide the hobby as like, oh, well, why bother with more cards? You could just get one card and use that for everything and get 2% cash back. But the rewards are much, much more through all of this.
Exactly. And you kind of fall further down the rabbit holes. You learn about more cards and how different people are getting, additional travel and other nice perks as far as upgrades and different things like that.
What was the turning point for you?
Probably, well, I had my first card in my adult life, I should say. My first card was the Chase Freedom card, and then I picked up my own credit union's 2% cashback card. And then quite a while later, I thought, well, are there any other more cards that have reward categories like the Chase Freedom? And it turns out the Discover card, of course, does. I just missed the dividend card. They just closed that up.
The city dividend for listeners, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I just missed out on being able to get that. But the Discover card, I signed up for that, and then you keep building from there. I was originally going for cash back, but then you quickly figure out that travel is really where your best benefits are going to come to you.
Right. There are some good cashback cards out there. The Blue Business Cash with American Express, I think, was one of the best. That was a $500 sign-up bonus and 2% back on everything, but that recently got downgraded to $300 at select merchants. So what I very often see is that there's much more value in the so-called travel credit cards rather than the cashback credit cards.
Absolutely. And then also you can look at the reward nights as being a bonus versus just doing strictly cash. So if you're going to get 2% back with the City Double Cash, 2% back in your spending, but you can have a hotel card, spend enough over the course of the year and get a free night, well, that's certainly a better way to go.
And one card I reviewed was the Hilton Surpass card, which has the 6 times points at grocery, which will be, in many cases, a better return than, say, a 2% cashback card. Although, as something you've mentioned, was that these points have different valuations depending on how you're redeeming, what status you have with the program. So 6x isn't 6%. So what does the 6x really mean to you, at least when we're talking about Hilton?
Absolutely. Especially if that rewards program, if you stayed at enough nights, or a particular credit card is giving you a certain status, which has like a fractional multiplier of like 15 or 20 or whatever percentage base over and above the base points.
Mm-hmm. And with Hilton, we have certain things like 5th night free, that if you book 5 nights with points, you get the 5th night for free. So that makes the points a little bit more valuable when you're staying for 5 nights in many cases.
Right. And I believe Marriott has the same type of program.
Mm-hmm. So different hotel credit cards. And why bother with the hotel credit cards rather than other credit cards that are offering more flexible currencies or cashback credit cards?
Well, you can always earn your points in the flexible currencies and then transfer to those points to a hotel card and really kind of maximize the perks from that hotel program. So if you would transfer points from American Express into Hilton, and then you would have the status of the card when you're checking the hotel, and then kind of increase your the stretch of those points.
Right, so we have some synergy between cards and a car alarm that's going off in the background that hopefully listeners won't be hearing. What timing for that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we get these flexible points like the Chase Sapphire Preferred is one of the best offers out there right now, I think, for many people. You could transfer those points to Hyatt, or you could use the Chase Travel Portal and get redemptions with that. So the flexible currencies certainly have a thing. But the hotel credit cards are really appealing when they have the big sign-up bonuses or the really good offers, or, as we mentioned, those free night certificates. Like on the Hilton Surpass, if you spend $15,000 in a calendar year, you get that free night. So that adds value to that spending that you're doing anyway.
Yes.
So rather than just the 6x points at groceries, we're getting 6x plus that free night. And if we could value that free night certificate at maybe $200, $300, we can do the math there and find out how much more we're getting. And in many cases, that would be a great card for a spend that's outside of bonus categories that we might prefer other cards for.
And that is specifically why I wanted the Radisson Rewards Premier Signature from U.S. Bank, was because they give you enough bonus points every single year to more than compensate you for the annual fee. And then you turn right around. If you spend $10,000 in the course of a year, up to 3 times in a year, spending up to $30,000, you'll get 1, 2, or 3 free nights, good anywhere in the country, on top of the points you earn with the card itself.
Yeah, we don't often hear much about the Radisson Rewards Visa. We hear about the Altitude Reserve, which I think is a great card. I have it. That was very much on the top of my list for a while and still is. But that Radisson card has lots of potential, especially for high spenders. Most hotel credit cards will only give you 1 free night, but this having the 3 free nights is really, really good.
And also the points that it gives you in relationship to the annual fee don't expire. So you're really only, if you spend on it, you earn enough for a free night or 2 or 3 over the course of the year. But if you have an off year where you're just not staying at Radisson that year, the annual fee point, you can just kind of pocket that and keep it in your pool of points, as opposed to if you sign up for like a Hilton card that gives you the benefit of a free night every year. You have now committed that you're going to stay or just lose that hotel night.
Right. So the anniversary points are really nice. We're seeing that in some other cards that we'll get into a little bit later. And U.S. Bank, that could be a tougher bank to get in with. I think many people just write off U.S. Bank because they can be a little bit stricter with approvals. What advice do you have for people who'd be interested in U.S. Bank credit cards?
Oh, they're so very sensitive to inquiries and new cards. It took me just shy of a month to get that card. You're calling into reconsideration and verification.
Huh.
I mean, they're all very nice to you, but I have an easier time getting a mortgage than I did getting that card. It is challenging.
Well, what was your profile at the time? How many inquiries did you have in the last 6 months on the bureau that they pulled from?
I had 2 inquiries on the bureau that they pulled from, plus within 6 months, which is what they're really concerned with, plus 1 that had just fallen outside of the 6-month window.
That might have been it. Yep.
And then it was just very critical, but it is what it is. I mean, once you have the card, you don't have to worry about it. And hopefully, if I were to add, the Altitude Reserve at a later date, hopefully that they are more lenient. But I'm guessing that people need to start with their easier cards and kind of build up to either the Radisson card or the Altitude Reserve. I know the Altitude Reserve, you have to have another card with them or a relationship of some sort to get the card.
Right. My tip is opening the brokerage account with U.S. Bank. I covered that in an earlier episode, is you could just open this online investment account. I put $300 in there, and I applied for Altitude Reserve shortly after, and I was approved. I also had the Flex Perks card that I got in early 2020 when I didn't know about the brokerage account. So I suppose having another credit card and having that relationship helped. And more recently, they've had a bonus for a bank account. Open a checking account with them and get a $300 bonus. But another picky part of them is that you can't open a checking account unless you have a relationship, if you're outside of their footprint. So in Pennsylvania here, even when I traveled, I was in Chicago, I was in Vegas, and I couldn't get that account opened. They're like, you need a local branch.
And the Radisson Rewards card is almost like a hidden card, because if you go to U.S. Bank and look at their credit card offerings, they don't show it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, the Harley Davidson
just
is like
look
that
for a
too.
different hotel chain.
Yeah, the Harley Davidson Visa and some of their other co-branded cards you don't see on US Bank's website. It's really strange. They don't advertise their own products. Like, what is this?
Like, don't you want people to sign up for it? Like, you know, they have the trouble of pressing the cards up. You think they would want new customers?
If you're listening, US Bank, we'd be happy to consult with you, of course.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so Radisson Rewards, pretty good. So I hope listeners, if you're going to apply for cards with US Bank, to have 0 inquiries in 6 months, and you could even play some interesting methods of freezing 2 out of 3 of your credit bureaus, particularly the busier ones, and hoping that they pull that third bureau. And if they don't, then you have to wait another 31 days and apply again, or you'd be flagged as a duplicate application. So little steps can give us a little bit of an advantage when the banks are so picky.
I didn't do any of that. I just applied. And, it was just, I was denied, and then you call recon, and then back and forth and back and forth. You spend a lot of time on hold. I will say that once you get the card from US Bank, their customer service agents are very responsive. However, if you're calling recon, you can wait 25 to 40 minutes on that.
Yeah, I've made some bank calls while I was just preparing in the morning. I put it on speaker. I had to cancel flights during this pandemic, and it was a long hold. So I try to multitask. I encourage people to multitask. Maybe make calls while you're driving as well. Although being on hold and listening to the music isn't the greatest thing. So maybe that's a better thing to just put your phone on speaker at home and just wait for that.
You don't enjoy those songs? That song is great. No, I'm kidding. It's terrible.
So many with First National Bank of Omaha. I've had many calls with them, but that's a story. That's a story for another day.
I tried for the Best Western card at the same time. Around the same time period after I applied for Radisson, and I was kind of denied. I'm like, well, I'll try for the Best Western card instead because I consider the multiplier to be similar. But I was flat out denied for them, and they said there's just no chance of them reconsidering it. I'm like, well, fine. So then I turned around and got an offer in the mail from American Express because I have the Blue Cash Preferred card from them. I got an offer for an uplifted offer on their Hilton Honors card, and then I got another one the next day. And then like 2 days later, I got another one and a fourth one. And I actually signed up for it after the second offer when I realized it was 100,000 points versus the standard 75,000 points for a free card. And then I wouldn't have a hard pull because, once you have the card with American Express, they tend to let you have more cards for no additional hard pull.
Right.
So while I'm doing the song and dance with US Bank, I actually got the Hilton Honors card from American Express. The card physically arrived. I hit the sign-up bonus, and I was still waiting at the time to find out from US Bank if they were even approve me for the card in the first place.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting more US Bank cards and another card with Barclays Bank. So I'm putting it on pause at the moment. My Apparama was in August, and I'm going to wait 6 months. I'm going to do a Barclays and a US Bank in the same day since they could be sensitive. And speaking of Barclays, we have the new Wyndham cards. I had 2 episodes about the Wyndham cards. They were so good. They got their own episodes. Much better than the older Wyndham cards, that's for sure.
Yes. When I originally made that hotel card spreadsheet, I didn't even consider the old Wyndham cards because they were just so bad that it was like you just open it up and you're like, you're like, oh, that's just awful. And you're like, you kind of close it up and you look past it, it's something else. But
yeah, with these cards, it seems amazing, especially for people who go to Caesars properties and just transferring the Wyndham points 1-to-1 to Caesars Rewards, where you're getting at least 1 cent in value, as we have 1,000 Wyndham points would be worth 1,000 Caesars points, which would be worth $1. So a good, or $10. They use these weird denominations, right? It's a little bit confusing even for me, who is all in on this stuff, right?
And then they have that weird go free faster benefit of the 10% discount, Wyndham related redemptions, which I don't know anybody else offers anything like that. So it kind of changes all of the point valuations depending on how you look at it. You're giving a 10% boost to the points you already have, or are you looking at your redemptions at being a 10% less?
Yeah. It makes it to be a little bit more complicated math as you're getting some kind of rebate or discount with that. And to say, so 1,000 reward credits with Caesars would be worth $10. So that's how they do it with that math. They have a zero there. So with Wyndham, what are you looking at the points to be worth about? You've looked at several properties on average. How many?
I do. When I do my evaluations, I'm looking at least 24 different properties around the country at what I consider to be the prime time of year to visit. Because my take on it is you don't want to just use one area or one subcategory of hotels within that program. Like, Best Western has multiple property types. Wyndham has the Super 8s. They've got La Quinta, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm looking at a variety of their different properties, and I look at them at prime time because I figure if you're going to Anchorage in the middle of winter, in Anchorage, Alaska, you're going there because you have to, not because you just want to go. It's going to be really cold, and you're going to Florida in the heat of summer. You're going there because you have to go there for work or whatever. But if you're looking at prime time, then you want to know when your points are worth the best.
Mm-hmm. And properties, to go back to Radisson, they don't have the largest footprint. Wyndham has a larger footprint. Hilton has
no, they do not. Yeah.
A larger footprint, but we see some Radisson. I know there's one in Kalamazoo, Michigan. If Darren is listening to the show, I know he'll appreciate that. And Iceland, some Radisson properties in Iceland, some higher tier properties with them.
All the programs, we kind of associate it being with American hotels, but you can go stay in Europe. You can go to Mexico. I mean, there's properties all over the world that these are affiliated with.
Right. So good to look at the options and see what it's worth. And in some cases, you'll get great value in like the Hyatt places of the world, the 5,000 points, and maybe other places, a Hyatt place would be worth 10,000 points a night. So you're getting like half value with your points. So it could be a little bit mathy, and we're looking to optimize in how we're using our points.
And as you're a fan of saying, America loves math.
Yes. I pulled that from the Milenomics podcast when I was on there, and I've adapted it to my show too, because you get all these numbers going around. So if it's like, you get, as you put in your hotel spreadsheet, which is in the description of the episode, it's like 0.7 of a point for Wyndham points. And then you're getting this like 20% rebate or 10% rebate or what have you, and some bonuses with status and stays. So you're looking at here that we're getting the 8 times points on gas, which is really, really generous, but that's not necessarily worth 8%, especially if we're going to use those at Wyndham properties. Maybe we're getting close to 6%.
Which is still terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6% back on gas. So many people out there are looking, well, what's the best card for gas? What's the best card for this? And they're not seeing the big picture of you can get a great card, get a sign-up bonus, and in the process, pick up a great card for gas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many people get enamored with these so-called everyday spending categories, but they're not really spending a lot to get a significant return, and they're just using the same card again and again when they could be getting multiple cards and sign-up bonuses and benefits and free night certificates. So there's a lot more value to be had, especially with these hotel credit cards.
Absolutely. And also, looking at a Ducks Unlimited card, for instance, back in the day when that was the 5% cash back card, it had no sign-up bonus.
Right.
Where here, you're going to get the Wyndham earner card, and you can actually pick up a gas perk and use that gas purchase as an ongoing. If you're not spending a lot at Wyndham for whatever reason, you can actually use the gas perk to keep the card alive as far as showing activity.
Yeah, and we're talking about a 50,000 point sign-up bonus. It's just amazing.
Yes.
And to transfer that to Caesars and get $500, and I like to stack those things. As I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to Atlantic City, and if I can get discounts on hotels, if I can use my status to waive resort fees, and if I can get lounge access and other entries, we're talking use 1,000 points with Caesars to get entrance into a lounge for all you can eat food and all you can drink alcohol. What great value for that. You're automatically getting the Wyndham Diamond status through the card too. and that matches to Caesar's diamond status, at least as of this recording here in October of 2020.
I haven't done all that yet. I've been to Vegas twice, but I've not done the gambling and that kind of thing to the degree that you are. Mm-hmm. My goodness.
Yeah, and even for people who aren't into the casino culture, maybe it's the first time they're going, they could still experience the higher levels of status. When I was in Vegas this month, I got 2 free tickets to ride the high roller wheel, and I posted all of these pictures from the Strip. It's one of the highest points that you can be at in Vegas on this like Ferris wheel thing. So a lot of cool things, really a lot of good deals. So for Wyndham and Barclays to put out this really nice card, especially now, we're still in the midst of a pandemic here. We're seeing such great credit card offers.
Absolutely. And also all the shows that you can see, too, in the fancy restaurants, celebrity chefs and things like that.
Yeah. The show is unfortunately on hold. It's either the tickets for the high roller wheel or you can see the bodies exhibit at Bally's at the moment. But still some nice things. That's for sure. We also have the World of Hyatt card with Chase. That's not in your spreadsheet, but yet a solid card that one can get.
Oh, absolutely. From what I understand, they have a very rewarding program, and that has the annual free night, I believe.
That's right. 15,000 spend for the free night every card member year.
Okay. So a little bit more than the 10,000 for Radisson, but you might have an easier time using it because there are more hotels where you want to stay.
Right. And U.S. Bank, I think we should note, could be a little bit more sensitive to certain kind of spending. So if there are people out there buying gift cards and you're buying in large quantities, U.S. Bank has been known to shut down accounts for people with some heavy spending. And with Chase, with a lot of other issuers, they can be more lenient about that too. But still, a whole calendar year to spend 10,000, or even if you're going for the 30,000 goal and you're just doing a lot with credit cards anyway, then that's a really nice thing.
And that's probably the best time to pick up a new card is when you have like a big project, like if you're doing home improvement, or if it's a new semester and you're paying for college, things like that. And then all of a sudden you can put a big amount of spend, hit a sign-up bonus, and really carry that through.
And we were chatting, some people, they get intimidated by these large sign-up bonuses. Like, how could I possibly spend $4,000 in 90 days? Or how am I going to spend $10,000 in a year? But you, like some of my other past guests, have found very creative ways to spend more on cards, like asking family members, hey, if you have any big purchases coming up, you can give me the cash, swipe my card, like things like that. You've engaged in some of that too, right?
Absolutely. That's a nice way to have like a silent partner in your hobby is to find somebody who really, I mean, you're not taking advantage of them, but you're just telling them, hey, I'm trying to do this. And they may not care about credit cards, and you tell them the stories about what you're trying to do as far as sign-up bonuses, and they appreciate what you're telling them. They understand that they could do it themselves, but they really don't care. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to help you out because you're going to put their purchase on your credit card. And again, you want to do something with someone you trust, but then you can hit sign-up bonuses with their assistance.
Right. Former coworkers I had would be happy to give me cash or send me money through Venmo or Cash App or whatever when I would pick up the lunch for everyone or bring some things
Absolutely.
in. They were very good for that. And I would talk about deals and they would like, oh, I can't believe you do all this stuff. You're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But then they'd be happy to take part in the benefits. Like one day I went into work, it was a Black Friday deal for, I think it was 20% off any purchase at Target. So I told my coworkers, hey, if anyone wants to do some holiday shopping, I'll be happy to let you use the coupon. Just give me the money and it's no extra charge to you. So I did some shopping there. I gave them the full discount and I was happy to do it because I helped someone else and I got to spend on one of my cards.
Perfect.
Indeed, the game isn't for everyone. It does take a higher level of organization, but I do recommend that people start very small. Just get one good card, see how it works for you. If you're comfortable, add a second one, go from there. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an all-in thing. Maybe it will. Maybe you go further down the rabbit hole and you have like 20 credit cards. It's a fun game, I think. But there can still be value for those who don't have a tremendous amount of cards.
And every so often, you and I do see this. Some folks have like 30 and 40 and cards going. But it does take a fair amount of work to have that all organized, like you said.
Yeah.
As far as like payment dates and things like that.
Yeah, they've been in the game longer, and it's at this point now where the main barrier is just waiting for time between inquiries. So I got an email, it's American Express, like, thank you for being with us for 2 years. And I was like, oh, great. I've made it this far, and there's still a lot more to go in the future. So it's exciting. It's always a new deal going on, some kind of creative way to spend, and meeting a lot of people through the hobby, not to mention all the travel experiences that we can have, saving significant money. What are some of the trips that you've taken with miles and points? How has it helped you?
Just booked, not just, but I just booked tickets to fly down Universal. That's my next trip. Mm-hmm. And I was able to use UR points from Chase to book that on American.
Oh, nice. So the flight's covered, your hotel's going to be covered as well?
We're staying on property, so it was a little bit different. My girlfriend arranged that. So we're staying at one of their owned hotels. So there was a special deal going on because of the pandemic, mm-hmm. That you got, the days you spend, you get bonus days besides. So we're just going for that trip and staying on site.
Nice. We're about halfway through here. I'm with Marc Konchinsky talking about hotel credit cards and his hotel credit card spreadsheet, which is in the description. Some people who are listening, they hear this word annual fees and, I don't want to pay any annual fees. And they get really scared about it, or they don't think there's value in paying the annual fees. What do you have to say to them?
The annual fee cards tend to have a much better reward as far as what you get back from what you spend. And also the sign-up bonus tend to be higher. And the important thing to remember is you're not locked into those annual fees forever. Mm-hmm. You can either cancel the card if you wanted to. You can try to negotiate some sort of discount or reward program benefit for you to spend so much on the card, and they'll give you a free benefit back, which will compensate you for the annual fee, or downgrade to the no annual fee version of the same card.
Right.
Most of the annual fee cards do have a no annual fee kind of little brother that you could downgrade to.
And the first year is almost always a huge win. If you're getting that big sign-up bonus, even if you're getting a sign-up bonus of, say, 30,000, 40,000 points, and you're paying an annual fee of maybe $90, $100, whatever, I see it as a great investment. It's like, hey, I'm willing to put the $100 up, and I'm going to get more than, say, $700, $800 in value from this one card.
Absolutely, especially if you have big spend in your near future because of car repairs or home improvements or whatever, that you can turn around and turn that bad thing into a not quite so bad thing.
Yeah,
and have good things in the future.
Yeah, even I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred card I often recommend. I recently upgraded to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and there's the $550 annual fee, but I'm getting a $300 travel credit. I'm getting a $100 credit for DoorDash. I now have the free membership with DoorDash and Grubhub Plus, and I've been able to stack a lot of deals. When I was in Vegas, I looked in both apps, and there were so many restaurants that said things like $7 off your first order, $8 off your first order, and free delivery. So that was really great. Mm-hmm. As I was eating dinner for $5 or $6. I was going to many different restaurants, or at least having that food delivered to me. And it was really nice. So if you use these benefits and use them well, it's very even. It's very easy not only to break even on the annual fee, but to be well ahead.
And you can even compound that by associating your credit card with like the Hilton Dining program, the Hilton Honors Dining, or there's other hotel. American Airlines has them. Another number of different airlines and hotel chains have. It's all from the same company, I believe. Mm-hmm. But you can actually get rewarded on the tail end for those restaurant purchases.
Yeah, so lots of unexpected benefits and different promotions that come out month to month. We open our emails every morning and it's like, ooh, look, I get a $10 bonus even for using this card on PayPal. It's like, oh, that's super easy because I'm making those purchases anyway.
Dunkin' Donuts has a good coupon going with both my Propel card, for instance, and also some of the Chase cards. So you would put your Dunkin' Donuts coffee or whatever on the card and earn like 10% cash back.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, those little offers can add up, and you could even use those to buy gift cards and just load them to your app for some balance there. And thankfully, it's a really good community. We're not combing through the flyers of every place and going to like every company's website in the morning and looking for stuff. We have websites like Doctor of Credit, gcgalore.com. I had Stephen Pepper, the host of GC Galore, on a previous show, and so many other websites, Miles to Memories, Frequent Miler, all these people out there who are collaborating and putting all this information together for people to really benefit.
And that cashbackmonitor.com,
yeah,
that website, I don't know if they people who run that don't sleep or what, but they have like everything broken down as far as you can just put in any merchant that you want to shop from, and then it'll give you the very best kind of in a spreadsheet program. It's crazy.
Yeah, and for listeners who don't know, Cashback Monitor, there are these sites that are shopping portals, kind of like affiliate websites. So instead of buying something directly from GameStop, for example, you go to a different website that takes you to GameStop, and then you get cash back or points or something just for using that portal.
Swag Bucks or Rakuten.
Oh, all about Swag Bucks.
Whatever. Yes.
Yeah, easy.
I just got started with Swag Bucks. It's been different.
Nice. Yeah, just the other day there was a deal for a Home Depot gift card. You could buy a $500 Home Depot gift card through them, and you got a 10% rebate. And with the Swag Bucks being worth a little bit better than 1 cent per point, that's as good as it gets for Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
So lots and lots and lots of deals. And especially with the pandemic, people at home more often, it's a great time to get things arranged and just go through some of these deals. And that's something I really like about this hobby. It's just something extra to do, and the payoff from it is really tremendous as well.
Even if you can't travel now, there's a certain joy in planning the travel. You know, looking for the different restaurants to go visit and then picking out a hotel and things like that, that even when you're not able to travel like now, but you could plan for better days.
And we'll certainly be ready, too, as we'll have our miles and points ready to go for future trips.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so many people I sadly hear, and they say, like, I can't travel, it's too expensive. It's like, no, there's a way to do it.
Yes.
Do you have any other tips for people just starting out?
I like Groupon a lot, and what I'll do for traveling is you can go through like Rakuten or whatever site is giving a perk for that on the front end, and then look on Groupon for the city you plan to visit for restaurant deals or entertainment deals in that area to make an additional purchase and find some new restaurants you may not have chosen. And if you're not familiar with the area, which I'm guessing you're not because you're traveling,
yep.
You can actually go on like Yelp and read reviews. So kind of go in as an educated person who's not familiar with the area, but you're kind of being very savvy on finding a good deal for a restaurant you might not have chosen if you were just driving on the street or known about, for that matter.
Oh, that's a really good tip. You could definitely find dining experiences and much more where you're traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and it saves you some time. It's like, oh, look, there's this bowling alley offer, and I can go there. And, who would have known that there was a bowling alley in Kalamazoo or wherever you were going at. So that
you can do that for whale watching and whatever deals are happening in the area where you want to visit. And then you're printing them out. You've already made that purchase. You can make the purchase now, even though you're not traveling for 4 months to go to the city. Just make sure that the voucher is going to expire before you're able to do the travel. You're kind of spread your purchase out. If you're kind of budgeting for things that you're going to buy some of your entertainment or some of your dining, you're going to prepay it now and have it all set aside, and then have your paid voucher going with you on your trip.
Even some local dining, there were deals at Johnny Rockets of all places. That was like a $15 dining credit, and it was like a 50% off, and there was some other stack, and it ended up being like $2. Like, wow. So some interesting finds on there. Sometimes they have gift card deals too. I've purchased gift cards, yep. Lowe's gift cards from Groupon before.
I have that. I haven't used it yet, but I have it. And I've got one for Outback and one for Carrabba's, which were all purchased on Groupon.
Nice. And for people just getting into the credit card game, one thing I often hear from people is it going to tank your credit score?
No. If you went nuts, I guess you could. I mean, if you keep applying different cards, and you're just keep going and going and going and don't stop, but if you take your breath every so often, I think 3 or 4 cards for the average person shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so maybe we'll take that initial hit of like 3 to 4 points on a credit score, but in time it bounces back. And
yes.
Does it really matter anyway? Like I see people obsessing. It's like, I want an 800 credit score, but like, does that really matter? Like, can't you be okay with 750? Is there really going to be a difference between 750 and 800?
Right. Unless you're applying for a mortgage, then you want to be very careful.
Yeah. One exception there. And of course, we're paying our balances in full. We're being responsible
Absolutely.
with our spending. And in many cases, treating it like if we were using a debit card or a checking account. You know, we're not spending more than we have in the account, and we're not buying more just because we have plastic in our hands.
Right.
Or metal, for all those out there.
Or metal, yeah, right. But that's one thing that I do is I'm reviewing my credit card accounts at least once a week, if not more than that, maybe twice a week, just to make sure that, I'm keeping the balances in check. And I do have it set up that all of my charges are going to send a text to my phone. But I'm still going in once or twice a week to check the balances.
Yeah, and a good tip there, just to make sure, too, that your accounts are in good order, that there's not any fraud or any charges you don't recognize. Some people have that fear, like, oh, your information is out there. Your identity is going to be stolen because you're applying for all these programs and cards. I hear that, too. So staying on top of it is definitely something to do. And it's weird. I've heard some people just staying away from banks and credit cards altogether because they're worried about their information. But I don't think that that's really going to help. It's like, what's the alternative? Are we going to just live in a shack on the mountains or something? You know, our info's out there one way or another, but we can definitely be careful in what's happening on our account and making sure that people aren't stealing our accounts and paying for gas in random states that we're not in at all.
And then also, I mean, even as I keep a spreadsheet of my various cards, and I'll kind of go through them 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera, just to make sure that I've reviewed the balance on each account. And then I also have them arranged in the spreadsheet by their due date, because that does not change. So you kind of go through the list, once a week or whatever is comfortable for you, to make sure that everything's in good standing and in good order.
And certainly with credit cards, we have protections. I've heard so many horror stories from people with debit cards and like, oh, money was drained from my bank account, it overdrafted the account, and then they have to go through all this hassle. And then, oh, what about the other auto pays that they have or bills that they're paying with their debit card? Well, with credit cards, we just don't have that issue. And if there is any kind of suspicious charge, we could just call and they say, okay, well, you're not responsible for those payments and you don't have to float money for no reason.
And they're just so good anymore about catching the fraudulent transactions to begin with. I mean, I actually just got a text and email from Chase about a suspicious charge they denied from some site in Canada.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. That was this you kind of a question. And I'm like, no, it was not. And they shut the card down and issued a new one to me. So that was just one transaction out of the blue that they just, caught them funny, I guess. And they took care of it. And I got a new card, no problems at all.
Yeah, there you go. Very easy. Sometimes the fraud alerts are so big they're trying to protect me from myself. I renewed a Sam's Club membership and I got a fraud alert for that. For like a $40 transaction. Like, what is this?
Yeah. I had that a while. I wasn't using my Discover card, and then all of a sudden, Discover has rotating categories, and it was 5% at gas stations, so I bought a gift card for Amazon. Again, one more reason why you don't need the Amazon Amazon charge card, rather, is you don't need the 5%. You usually score 5% elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
But I hadn't used my Discover card in a while, and I got they flagged the transaction and called me. Like my phone was ringing in the gas station.
Do you see a man in a gas station who's trying to buy a gift card?
Yeah, right.
It's
exactly.
me.
So, and then we were able to figure it out, and they were able to unlock the transaction. I had to rerun it, but they were able to authorize it and go forward. But they were so right there, right at the moment of the transaction. No delay and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, the gas station spend could be a trickier thing because usually people aren't spending more than like $75 on gas. And so when they're seeing like a $200, $300 purchase, like, whoa, what's this?
Especially when you've kind of parked your other cards, you're trying to hit a really big sign-up bonus, and you've kind of parked everything else for a month or two, and then all of a sudden you come in and you're doing like 250 at the gas station, and they're like, wait, what are you doing? Who has this card? It's not you. And they call you up on your phone. So
yeah, for me, Capital One is the worst about the fraud alerts. Is I called them and say like, hey, could there be some kind of limit that you can put that triggers the fraud alert, like anything over 800 that might trigger a fraud alert? Oh yes, we'll do that. And then I tried doing a transaction and it still gets flagged even though it's a $500 transaction, and like, oh, I'll go through this. Sometimes I'm in line and I have to wait for the text message to come in after the initial decline, and then I could verify it by typing yes. The struggle is real here for sure.
Capital One has been kind of finicky, it looks like, for other folks as far as people trying to get those cards or get higher limits on those cards, or just trouble in general with their system.
Yeah, if you have a thicker credit profile and higher scores, they're not as happy to approve people, is what I constantly hear.
So they must make their money on folks who are not paying their balances off, and that's their primary goal.
We'd have to ask them. If you're listening, Capital One, if you'd like to make a statement, we'd be happy to hear from you. We put out this wonderful offer for the Venture card, but I don't think many listeners can actually get it.
Right.
Great. Are you looking at new cards coming up? What's your situation looking like at the end of 2020?
The card that's currently tempting me is this increased offer from American Express on their Bonvoy card. But it's a strong spend. It's $5,000 in 3 months. So, I mean, I can get business cards, but just trying to stomach that $5,000 spend.
So you're a lower spender, but definitely a lot of ways to increase that spend with being creative, as we've talked about. So some ways around it. I'm still on the American Express Plum card journey here, trying to get to 30,000 in 6 months. So getting pretty close.
Right.
But even for me, and especially with other cards, it's been a little bit more of a task than I thought it would. As when I got the card, there were so many stores that were shut down. There weren't so many deals going on. So my spending dramatically dropped for a month or two.
And there's only so far in advance you want to pay your cable bill and things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point you bring up, to have that foresight to know your own spending habits, because it's a real tragedy to sign up for a card and miss the sign-up bonus, because that's one of the major reasons to get it, and that's most of the value that you're getting. So don't take on too much. And I think don't take on too little too. Like people, it's like, oh, well, look, I could sign up for this card and it's such an easy $100 sign up bonus because all I have to do is spend $1,000 in 3 months. Like, no, you could do better than that.
Right. But I do think that some people in the game kind of take on too much. They'll try to hit like 3 different big sign up bonuses. They're going to approve for the cards. And then they're like, well, how do I hit that spend? And like, they're trying to spend because they've compounded the problem on their own. Yeah. Rather than hitting one $5,000 spend, they're trying to do like a 5 and a 3 and a 2, and all of a sudden you're trying to spend $10,000 in 3 months. Which, if you can do it, more power to you. Mm-hmm. If you can do it without incurring pain. But my God.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the groups, people are like, "Oh, my sign-up bonus deadline is coming up in 2 weeks. How can I spend $2,000?" Like, no, you should have thought about that earlier. You should have had a plan.
Yes. Or at least stagger them so that way the next card is coming up as the first card spend limit is being met.
Uh-huh.
So you're not trying to have the same start point and the same end point.
Yeah, it's very important to be really deliberate with this thing and not just make decisions on the whim, right? Or whatever expression you like to use, to just be very careful.
It's like playing chess. I mean, you have to calculate each move, and how that is going to impact your next move. And you try to plan like a card or two in advance and plan your spend around that.
Right. Yeah. And even one mistake that I made is when I first got into this, I didn't know much about Chase and their rules. And I really wish I did, because I would have more Chase credit cards in my portfolio. But now I'm stuck with 2 only, and that's probably all I'll ever have with them.
But you could stop. Years.
Oh,
come on, you can do it.
that would be terrible. I had the option to wait for like it was maybe 8 months or so, but I figured, wow, there'd be such tremendous opportunity costs, and they've just been stricter and stricter about things. Some people just getting denied for the reason of too many opened accounts. So it's like,
and that's where having a player two in your game can help out as well. Is that if you can have them sign up for some of the cards that you're not eligible for at the moment, or kind of bounce back and forth between applications.
Yeah, or double dip in many cases too.
Yes.
So a lot of potential with that for significant others, family members, friends, children. Who knows?
That would really help out with the hotel cards, because the cards that come with an annual free night, well, if you're player two, your spouse or significant other has a second one of those cards, you can pick up Saturday night and they can pick up Sunday night, and all of a sudden you've got a long weekend.
Yeah, I did that in Hawaii, as I had Aspire, and someone I was traveling with also had the Aspire, so we were able to combine certificates for the same reservation.
Perfect.
Yeah, the free night certificates can be a little bit of a drag. I'd prefer to have points rather than free night certificates in almost all cases, but that's just the game, and a year plus to use them is good, as now the extensions with the pandemic are on. So those certificates that were supposed to expire in December, well, we're giving you a few more months or another year to use them. So that's nice that they're doing that.
And then we hope everything will open up by then.
Right.
Or else I just extend it even further.
Hopefully so. I had to cancel a flight with Delta, and they gave me travel credit, or e-credits, until 2022. So I still have a while to use that, which is really nice. All right, very good. We're towards the end here. Any final words, any tips for listeners?
I would definitely say to look at joining the different reward programs, because you also get different offers that kind of might steer you towards one hotel credit card or another. So you can kind of take a peek at what type of offers they give you, whether it be like book, twice in this year, and then you'll save 20% and different things like that. And you kind of look at, well, where am I going to be traveling this year? And then kind of line that up with hotels that might be in those cities, and kind of work it backwards. And then you say, well, maybe I should get this card this year, and kind of jumble your priorities a little bit, because you know that you would enjoy staying at the various properties.
Yeah, and these programs are almost all free to join too. It's like you just enter your personal information to sign up with Hilton or Hyatt or whoever, and you never know what kind of offers that you get, and some points bonuses. So why not?
Absolutely. And they become the base points. I mean, I always see the various, different videos on YouTube and that, where they're talking about, this card earns 6 times on Marriott spending or 6 times on Hilton spending, but nobody ever breaks down what those points are worth. For every dollar you spend in the hotel, the base points from the free to join hotel program, plus the credit card, if you have their card in your hand, what does that transition into in terms of percentage back towards future stays?
Right. So that's one thing in your spreadsheet, that you're breaking that down and seeing, okay, well, that 5 times points for Radisson, that's worth about 2.18%, you're saying here, for just one example.
Yes. That's for general spending. So you're getting 2.18%, but then if you can hit $10,000 in a year, you're going to get the free night certificate, which I value around $150. And you're also going to get the annual, you have to pay the annual fee, which is deducted, it's $65. But you'll get a point bonus, which will be more than that. So all the math, because America loves math, all that math transitions into a 4.72% on general spend. So all these people who are getting excited about the double cash, which has no sign-up bonus, and you're getting 2%, whereas if I could spend $10,000 in a year, which is not that hard to do on general spending, like car insurance, going to Sam's Club, for instance, if you don't have like a particular card for that, but you're going to be earning 4.72% as long as you can comfortably hit $10,000.
Good. And even in that first year, if you're already spending towards the sign-up bonus, it's not like you're spending $10,000 additional. So
absolutely.
That's another
the
point.
first year, you're talking about another 7. So that if you were going to try and do this, the year to try it is the first year, because you've already committed to spending depending on which offer you take advantage of, because the Radisson Rewards Premier Signature has 2 different offers. There's one for 85,000 points for spending $2,500 in 3 months, versus if you look around, you can find one for 120,000 points for spending $3,000. So it's a nice bump in the terms of points that you're going to earn for just spending $500 more.
Good. So,
but then you've already spent 3, so you might as well spend 10.
Oh, and then 20 and 30.
in for a penny, in for a pound,
Right. So, yeah, very, very good. And what I do to keep track of the spending when I make transactions, I have Evernote, and I add the numbers in there. Some people use spreadsheets or different ways to do it, so I know where I am, rather than going on these projects of looking at past statements and then adding everything after the fact. That can get cumbersome.
Evernote. I'm a Google Notes guy, but I'm sorry, Google Keep rather. Google Keep, but I've tried Evernote. That's a tricky one because it has all kinds of features. It gets a little too crazy as far as what it can do.
I try to keep it simple. I just have all the different notes, and I'll have a title, and that's about it.
Wow.
All right, good. Wow, that went by pretty fast. Thanks.
And I do plan on adding additional hotels as time permits. It is a pretty decent time commitment to add each different hotel. I mean, I kind of went nuts when I added the first 3, and then I added Choice and I added Wyndham. I have plans to add other ones, but it does take some time.
All right, so I think Barclays and U.S. Bank are making some big moves. The underdog banks here, I think lots of potential with the hotel credit cards, and many others too. And I'm sure we'll see good things from Chase, American Express, and some of the bigger banks going forward. The hotel card spreadsheet, you'll find that in the description of the show. Talking here with Marc Konchinsky. And how can people find you on social media or contact you in any way?
Oh, I'm really actually not on. I mean, I'm in a bunch of the different credit card groups, but I don't have like a Instagram or website or something like that. I really kind of keep it low key.
All right, very good. Thanks for
coming. All right, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more content. Visit my website at hurdygurdytravel.com to contact me, find me on social media, read episode transcripts, schedule a free credit card consultation, and support the show through Patreon, Subscribestar, referral links, and buying from my eBay store. Watch me on camera on YouTube and listen on many podcast platforms. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Supporters of my Patreon and Subscribestar pages receive special perks, including a custom podcast episode, questions answered by upcoming guests, and monthly private one-on-one conversations. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation with Cakeology to formally establish your business, build business credit, and get premium business credit cards. When you select from various paid services after the free consultation, I receive credit for referring you. Listen to Cakeology on episode 12 of my podcast. Find my affiliate link on my website. Build and grow your business with the help of Burst Biz Services. Burst Biz helps you grow and start business, expand business credit, and increase your business visibility with online listings. Use my affiliate link at hurdygurdytravel.com for a free business evaluation to get in contact with Burst Biz.